The greatest warriors are those who never step on the battlefield. It sounds strange, doesn't it? We've been taught to think that strength means fighting, that winning means overpowering others. But what if the real strength lies in never needing to fight at all? Imagine a person who can walk through chaos and remain calm. Someone who doesn't react to insults, who doesn't flinch in the face of anger, who wins without lifting a finger. That person might not look like a warrior, but they're more powerful than any soldier with a sword. Now, think about this. What if true power isn't about showing dominance over others, but learning how to detach from what controls you? Your anger, your fear, your need to always be right. These things pull your strings like a puppet. But when you let go of them, when you master them, you become untouchable. You move with purpose, not emotion. That's the kind of power both Sun Tzu and the Stoics believed in control over the self. This video is about that rare kind of mastery, where strategy meets self-control, where victory doesn't look like a battle, but like peace. Because what if the real enemy was never out there, but within? So if the real enemy is within, how do we defeat it? The answer might lie in an old idea from Sun Tzu, the ancient Chinese military thinker who once said, "To win without fighting is the highest form of warfare." Think about that for a second. It means the best kind of victory is the one where no one gets hurt, where no sword is drawn, and yet you still win. That sounds almost impossible, but it's exactly what the wisest warriors aim for, not to destroy their enemies, but to avoid the battle altogether. Now let's look at someone who lived this truth, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor. He ruled over the Roman Empire, a place filled with wars, pressure, betrayal, and chaos. He had the power to crush people, to rage, to act out of pride. But he didn't. Instead, he turned inward. He wrote quietly in his journal, fought off anger, pride, and fear, not with violence, but with reason and calm. He faced wars outside, but his greatest battles were silent, happening deep inside his mind. And in that silence, he found strength. Real, lasting strength. This is why both Sun Tzu and the Stoics believed that silence, patience, and strategy often beat reaction. When you react without thinking, you give away your power. But when you stay still, observe, and act with purpose, you remain in control. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing only what truly matters. In today's world, our battles don't come with swords or shields. They come in the form of arguments, ego fights, stress at work, or pressure from social media. Someone cuts you off in traffic, someone disrespects you, or you feel the urge to prove a point. But maybe, just maybe, the strongest move isn't to shout or fight or win the argument. Maybe the strongest move is to stay grounded, to not let others control how you feel, to choose peace over pride. Because every time you win a battle without fighting, you get a little closer to true power. And that strength, the kind that doesn't shout or swing, is built on something even deeper, knowing yourself. This isn't just about knowing your name or your favorite food. It's about understanding what really drives you. What makes you angry? What makes you afraid? Why do you react the way you do? Lao Tzu once said, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened." And that enlightenment, that deep understanding of your own mind, is where real power begins. Sun Tzu agreed. He said, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." But here's the catch. Most of us never really take the time to know ourselves. We go through life reacting, assuming, blaming, and the result? We fight unnecessary battles with others, with the world, and with ourselves. The Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus taught that most conflict comes from not understanding what we can control and what we can't. We waste energy trying to change things outside of us, when we haven't even mastered what's inside. So how do we begin? It's not complicated, but it does take courage. Start by sitting with your thoughts, even the uncomfortable ones. Journal each day, not for anyone else, just for yourself. Write about what triggered you, what you felt, and why. Meditate, not to escape your thoughts, but to meet them. And above all, be brutally honest with yourself. See your flaws not as shameful things, but as areas to work on, to sharpen, to understand. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. Because once you understand yourself, your fears, your habits, your strengths, you stop being pushed around by the world. You don't explode at small things. You don't crumble under pressure. You don't chase approval or fear rejection. You stand still like a mountain while the storm passes around you. And in that stillness you find clarity. You see your enemies more clearly. You understand their weaknesses, their fears, their triggers. But more importantly, you understand that most of the time, they aren't really your enemies at all. The real battle is within. And knowing yourself, that's how you begin to win. Restraint is often misunderstood. People think it's a sign of weakness, of not standing up for yourself. But in truth, restraint is a powerful force. It's the ability to stay calm and collected, no matter what's happening around you. Sun Tzu's greatest generals were not the ones who rushed into battle with reckless abandon. They were the ones who stayed cool-headed, who calculated their moves carefully and waited for the right moment. Stoics, too, understood this power. They were masters of their emotions, never allowing anger, frustration, or fear to control their actions. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, put it simply, no man is free who is not master of himself. This freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want or reacting impulsively. It comes from having the self-discipline to pause, reflect, and choose your response, no matter how challenging the situation may be. It's the freedom to act with intention rather than being ruled by your emotions. Imagine this: someone insults you in front of others. The common reaction is to snap back, to defend your pride, and maybe even escalate the situation. But if you hold back, if you choose restraint, something powerful happens. You not only keep the situation from spiraling out of control, but you also gain respect. People see that you're not easily rattled, that you don't need to prove anything. In that moment, your restraint becomes a form of power. There's psychology at play here too. You might have heard of mirror neurons. These are the parts of our brain that cause us to mirror the emotions we see in others. When someone yells at you or acts aggressively, our natural response might be to feel angry or defensive. But if you maintain your calm, your restraint disrupts this cycle. Instead of mirroring their aggression, you show them something different: calmness, composure, and control. In doing so, you disarm the aggressor. Their emotional contagion has nowhere to land, and they're left without a target. Restraint, then, isn't just about holding back. It's about holding your ground, remaining firm in your own inner peace. No matter what storms are raging around you, it's not about weakness. It's about having supreme control over yourself and, in turn, over the situation. And in that control, you gain a quiet but undeniable strength. Chat said, "The greatest battles we face often aren't on physical battlegrounds. They're inside our own minds." Every day, we wrestle with thoughts of fear, doubt, and overthinking. We become trapped in endless cycles of worry, imagining worst-case scenarios that may never even happen. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, understood this well. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This means that no matter how chaotic the world around us may be, we always have control over how we respond to it. The key to peace and strength lies within us, not in trying to control external circumstances, but in mastering our internal world. One of the greatest internal enemies is our ego. It's the voice inside that whispers, "You're not good enough," or "You need to prove yourself." It feeds on pride, constantly pushing us to compare ourselves to others. This comparison can lead to jealousy, insecurity, and endless Striving. Ego makes us believe that our worth is determined by how others see us, or by how much we can accomplish. But in reality, it's not what others think that matters. It's how we think about ourselves. When we let go of the need to constantly prove something to others, we free ourselves from one of the most destructive forces in our lives. This is where meditation comes in. Just as a warrior sharpens his sword, we must sharpen our minds. Meditation is a form of mental warfare, an active practice of cutting through the noise of distractions to find clarity. It allows us to detach from the endless chatter in our heads and to observe our thoughts without getting swept up in them. By sitting in silence, we can identify where our minds are being led astray by fear, pride, or anxiety. We can learn to let those thoughts go instead of letting them control us. In real life, we face many situations that test our mental resilience. Think of a stressful work situation where deadlines are looming and everything feels out of control. Or consider the tension before speaking in public, where nerves and self-doubt can take over. Even in relationships, misunderstandings and emotional reactions can quickly escalate if we don't control our minds. But in all these scenarios, the first battle is won in the mind. If we can calm our thoughts, detach from our fears, and observe our emotions, we can navigate these challenges with far more clarity and strength. The Stoics teach us that we don't need to be slaves to our thoughts. We can choose to master them. When we stop allowing our minds to rule us, we regain control. We become better equipped to handle the pressures of daily life, the challenges of relationships, and the stresses that come with work or personal goals. In mastering our minds, we become true warriors, not because we fight against others, but because we conquer the internal struggles that often stand in our way. Emotions are a powerful force, but they're also fleeting. One moment, you might feel on top of the world, and the next, you're filled with frustration or anger. The problem with emotions is that they can cloud our judgment, often leading us to act impulsively rather than strategically. This is where Sun Tzu's wisdom comes in. He advised generals never to fight when they were angry, knowing that emotions could lead to mistakes that might cost lives. In the same way, Stoicism encourages us to rise above the chaos of our emotions and act with reason, guided by virtue rather than impulse. Instead of being ruled by what we feel in the moment, we are encouraged to take a step back, reflect, and then choose our response wisely. The key to this is strategy. Emotions come and go, but a well-thought-out strategy is timeless. If we let emotions dictate our actions, we're constantly reacting to situations rather than making deliberate, thoughtful decisions. For example, if you receive a harsh email or an insulting comment, your immediate emotional reaction might be to respond defensively or with anger. But in doing so, you might escalate the situation, making it harder to find a solution later on. The Stoic approach is to recognize your emotions, but not let them control you. Instead of reacting impulsively, you pause, reflect, and choose a response that aligns with your values and long-term goals. One powerful tool for achieving this is cognitive reframing. This involves changing the story you tell yourself about a situation. For example, instead of seeing a criticism as a personal attack, you could reframe it as an opportunity for growth, or as constructive feedback that can help you improve. This shift in perspective can help you respond more rationally and calmly, rather than reacting based on how you feel in the moment. A simple but effective modern strategy is to take 5 minutes before responding to any emotionally charged situation. When something happens that triggers an emotional response, give yourself a brief pause. This small break allows you to collect your thoughts, cool down, and reconsider your reaction. In this short moment, you might find that the initial impulse to react emotionally fades, and you're able to respond more rationally. Whether it's a heated discussion with a colleague or a stressful moment in your personal life, this brief pause can make all the difference. Instead of being controlled by emotions, You take control of the situation, applying strategy and thoughtfulness rather than letting your feelings dictate the outcome. In life, not every argument, challenge, or confrontation is worth your time or energy. Stoics, who mastered the art of self-control, understood the importance of conserving mental effort. They believed that true wisdom lies in choosing what to engage with and what to let go of, rather than spending energy on every small dispute or trying to prove a point in every situation. The Stoics focused on what truly mattered and made the most of their limited resources, whether that be time, energy, or emotional strength. They understood that constantly chasing every argument or striving to win every battle only drains you, without offering any real benefit in the end. That this principle aligns with Sun Tzu's idea of strategic patience. In his teachings, he often spoke about the importance of knowing when to retreat, to regroup, and to fight another day. Sun Tzu's wisdom teaches us that not every situation demands immediate action. Sometimes, waiting for the right moment to act can be far more powerful than rushing in without thought. Just because someone challenges you or pushes your buttons doesn't mean you must respond right away or engage in battle. The key is to know when to conserve your energy and when to act decisively. This idea is especially relevant in today's world, where many of us find ourselves in constant social media debates, workplace politics, or surrounded by unnecessary drama. It can be tempting to engage in every online argument or to fight back against every comment that seems off. But in doing so, you waste your mental energy on things that don't matter. You end up lowering your own sense of peace and joy by focusing on things that have no lasting significance. Instead, adopting the Stoic mindset of focusing only on what is essential can lead to greater inner calm. One of the most important aspects of this is letting go of the need to always be right. In many situations, the urge to prove that you are correct or to win an argument can become overpowering. But in the grand scheme of life, these moments of winning often don't bring lasting satisfaction. True victory is in rising above the need to be right all the time, in choosing peace over pride. By choosing your battles wisely, you allow yourself the space to focus on what really matters, avoiding unnecessary conflicts and allowing your energy to be spent on things that truly contribute to your growth and well-being. Imagine the figure of Marcus Aurelius not just as the emperor of the Roman Empire, but as the ideal general, calm, wise, and steadfast. His leadership wasn't about force or dominance. It was rooted in the four Stoic virtues: justice, temperance, courage, and wisdom. These virtues shaped his every decision, his every action, and they can do the same for you. As a Stoic general of your own life, it's not about controlling or conquering others, but about leading with integrity and purpose. Justice means being fair and treating others with respect. Temperance is about self-control and not letting your desires or impulses dictate your actions. Courage is not just about facing physical danger, but also about confronting fear, uncertainty, and hardship with inner strength. And wisdom is the ability to make decisions that align with your values and lead to long-term peace and fulfillment. By living according to these virtues, you not only lead yourself well, but you also inspire others to do the same. The Stoic general leads by example, not by commanding others to follow orders. You don't need to force people to listen or act. Instead, your actions, guided by virtue, will naturally inspire those around you. Whether in your relationships, your work, or your personal growth, leading with the example of Stoic virtues will earn the respect of others and, most importantly, bring you inner peace. You become the general of your own life, navigating each day with calm, focused direction, understanding that true leadership starts from within. In the end, true victory isn't about what happens outside of us, but what happens within. The greatest battles we face are often not against others, but against ourselves, our impulses, our ego. Real strength lies in mastering these internal conflicts, And this is where the Stoic philosophy and Sun Tzu strategy come together. When you face a challenge, whether it's a disagreement, stress, or frustration, take a moment to observe yourself. Notice how you're feeling and where your mind is going. This simple practice of self-awareness is the first step toward winning. Without fighting. Now, I want to leave you with a challenge. The next time you feel attacked or threatened, pause. Take a deep breath. Resist the urge to react impulsively. Instead, choose to respond with wisdom, detachment, and control. Win without fighting, because in these moments, you'll find your greatest power. To close, here's a powerful combination of quotes to reflect on. Sun Tzu reminds us, opportunities multiply as they are seized. Every moment of challenge is an opportunity to grow, to rise above, and to claim your inner victory. And as Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. It's not the circumstances that define you, but your response to them. So choose wisely, lead with virtue, and master the art of winning without ever stepping into battle.